Do it.
All right, welcome back. You're usually tuned in every day, noon to 2 Eastern, right here to get yourself your daily dose of liquid lunch, but that ain't happening, okay? Till further notice, this show is known as Stop the Steal TV because it's on in 5 or 6 states around the country. We're having all kinds of crazy irregularities. Ballots are popping up some places. Republicans in other places are not certifying elections. There's a big press conference today down at the White House. So I'm not submitting to the thought that this is over. Although one of my next two guests, we mix it up today with David Eisenbach, Columbia professor, former candidate for New York City public advocate. And John Burnett joins us once again after abandoning us for a few weeks. JB, managing director. Johnny, I got to tell you, last week I had to take this guy on by myself, and I give you credit because he was fired up. And Dave, I got to ask you, last week you were emphatic, it is over, and it doesn't look like it's over yet.
It's over. It's over. Yeah, every case, Rudy Giuliani was laughed out of court earlier this week. There's no substantial case that is going to affect any of these elections. As long as Biden still keeps his lead in Pennsylvania, which is up, however many tens of thousands of votes, this thing is over. Mathematically, you're not going to overturn this election.
Well, I would beg to differ. Nico, get your FX 17 when you have a minute. JB, I was telling David last week, and I continue to tell everyone, that I don't think it's over. There's still time on the clock. We can still get an onside kick a game-winning field goal to win the game. I don't know anybody who quits while there's still time on the clock.
I'm sorry, David, but the fat lady doesn't even have a mic. She's not even on stage ready to sing, okay? We have more votes to count, and we have a lot of irregularities. We have to look at these voting machines. We have to look at all of the fraud. There's Trump campaign wired in $3 million. We have to actually pay for integrity. That's how sad this is, right? Where these ballots that would have been invalidated otherwise were counted. And they were counted in districts and for President Biden. We saw in New York 20% in one county, Queens, during a Democratic primary, votes were invalidated. Why? Because they didn't count based upon election law in New York. So if that's the approach we're taking in Democratic primaries, why are we not taking that in the presidential primary?
Well, and David, it sure seems to me,
there aren't enough outstanding votes or disputed votes.
No, it's not outstanding. It's auditing the votes. Period, David. Period.
Right. We're not talking about recounting all the fake fabricated votes that they dumped into the system while they closed down in select cities around the country. We're talking about auditing the ballots to say, okay, this machine says 50,000 for Trump, 48,000 for Biden. Let's make sure we got 50,000 pieces of paper that say Trump and 48,000 pieces of paper that say Biden on them, and then we have a free and fair election. But until that, we're just recounting bad votes, as far as I'm concerned.
Name one suit or one instance in which there will be enough votes to overturn Pennsylvania.
Okay, Johnny, I just want to throw this in, John Burnett, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Last night, a video came out of the two Democratic canvass board members in Michigan berating, humiliating, and assassinating the two Republican commissioners who said that they don't want to certify the results. The Democrat himself said, we only had 30% of the ballots that were not countable. So the guy himself said, JB, 30% of the ballots are not recountable. They're not good. So does that make up enough?
That sounds like a confession to me.
That's what I'm saying.
Right? But people like David want to put spin on it. I think David's a nice guy, right? We always set up, insults when we say
I love nice David. Guy, right? I wouldn't have him on my show.
Apologize. I can take it.
But they don't want the real facts. What they want to do is rush this thing through by help of the media, prematurely calling this election. It's a projection, not an election. We have to make sure that every vote is counted. I thought you wanted every vote counted, David, and counted the correct way based upon the law, David.
Based upon the law. And you guys have not won a single one,
David,
not one of your lawsuits has overturned any vote.
David, are you okay with Democrats calling up Democratic voters to come in and complete their ballot, complete the irregularities that were found? Are you okay with those irregularities, David? Are you saying that?
If the Republicans could just win one of their lawsuits,
so you're not answering the question.
Just win one. Maybe I would say, okay, you guys have a bit of an argument.
Okay, but so let me jump in for 1 minute. Okay, Dave.
Living for the fat lady's voice because she's not going to be singing anytime soon.
I would submit this to you, David. One of the Supreme Court justices weighed in on Pennsylvania and reminded the elections commissioner in Pennsylvania that anything that came in after election day should be segregated and not counted.
Correct.
Guess what?
And there aren't enough of those votes, even if Donald Trump won all of them, which he wouldn't, there aren't enough of them to overturn the vote.
But collectively, David, when you count the machine issues, when you do the audit, right, and discover, you know what, wait a minute, more people voted in this county
than we have.
Then there are people on the rolls.
Yeah. I mean,
when you count all of these categories up, David, it's meaningful.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's 600, I think there's 600,000 ballots in the state of Nevada that were ran through a signature match machine, and they had the sensitivity for match set at 40%. So the two signatures only have to look 40% alike for them to be counted, when usually they put it at like 70 or 80%. So is 600,000 votes enough, David?
Even if Donald Trump were to win Nevada, it still wouldn't matter. That still leaves Biden with an electoral college victory.
Okay,
maybe Professor David over here, maybe he passes students that, only score 40, 50% on exams. I don't know. Maybe, they believe in subsidizing, people. Maybe he subsidizes his students. I don't know. Maybe we should subsidize the election.
Let's subsidize.
40% is okay?
It's not okay. We all know that. Listen, let me shift gears a little bit, because we might be able to agree on something once in a while, as we used to. Twitter, Facebook, they're all getting pulled before the Senate there. They're all taking a beat down. But I thought it was quite interesting the way they basically all admitted, we want to be publishers, but we still want to enjoy the exemption in 230. David, are they publishers now, or is this just an open community forum?
Well, that's tricky, because once you become a publisher, then you become responsible for what appears in your publication. So it sounds like they're trying to have it both ways, but that raises a whole other number of issues regarding liability and their responsibility for what gets put out if they are publishers.
It's not tricky, David. It's not tricky at all. It's very clear, right? They are trying to play two lanes, and at the same time, pick winners and losers. In this case, implement cancel culture on a wholesale level.
Well, that's why, in order to do that,
and that's wrong. And they can say, "Oh, we got this wrong." No, it's not just this one. It's a pattern here.
Yeah, and that's the problem, because in order for them to implement these restrictions that you're talking about, the cancel culture,
so how do we fix it, David?
Whatever you want to talk about them, they have to be publishers. But if they're publishers, then they have to take responsibility, which is something they haven't done. And This also raises questions about antitrust. And that is a road they do not want to walk down.
Yeah, no, it sure seems like to me that Donald Trump is up against a stacked deck. You got these PACs out there raising money to knock him down. You got the social media cartel squelching any good news, and of course spreading all the bad news that they want. And at the same time, we can't get a place to get out the evidence that they're saying that they want us to bring to them. So it is getting pretty wild.
But Tobacco, to your point, yeah, the deck is stacked against him, but he's the only one playing with a full deck, right? Because he's taking them on.
No doubt about it. Thank God for that. All right.
Yeah. But too bad no one's listening and no one cares, and life is moving on, and Joe Biden is transitioning into power, supported by the U.S. federal government.
All right, we got to leave it there. Very good, Dave. That's only happening in unicorns and rainbows land, but we're still in America here. We'll take a quick break.
Service and the U.S. military and every other
More
US
liquid
department.
lunch. Stop the steal after this.